Hello, welcome back to the channel. I hope you are well. And before we dive into all things Middlesbrough and Rob Edwards, I want to firstly say a big thank you for helping me reach 2,000 subscribers here on the Watford Way. It's taken quite a long time, but in the past months and few weeks especially, the channel has gained a lot of momentum. You've been supporting the content a lot, which is always very appreciated, and I'm really proud of the kind and supportive community we've built here, and not only on YouTube but across all our social platforms. So once again, a big thank you from me to you for helping us reach 2,000 subscribers here on YouTube. Next goal is 5,000, so hopefully I will see you there. But we do face Middlesbrough at Vicarage Road this weekend. Rob Edwards returns to Vicarage Road once again. I'm really looking forward to this one. And before we get into my thoughts on the game, we're going to hear from Johnny at the Borough Breakdown podcast to get the views from an opposition fan.
Hello guys, Johnny here from the Borough Breakdown podcast, here to give you a preview of Middlesbrough ahead of our game this weekend at Vicarage Road. Now, Middlesbrough come into this game with 2 wins in 3 after the international break. We drew our last game against Wrexham, and we're currently sat second in the championship table. And it's been quite a nice surprise because ahead of the season, I thought Middlesbrough were going to finish mid-table, but to sit second is definitely somewhere where I'm very, very happy to be proved very wrong. But looking at Middlesbrough already and looking at the formations that we play, we've been flirting with 2 different types of formations this season. The back 3 of a 3-4-3, and then additionally that 4-2-3-1 shape. Now, Middlesbrough will play with a back 3 even if they are set up in a back 4. When Middlesbrough in possession, one of the fullbacks will stay back and someone will bomb on. And that will more likely be Callum Britton, who will likely get forward. But it's been Matt Targett who has been the more creative one on the left-hand side, mainly just from his set pieces from there. Now, looking at injuries, Middlesbrough have no injury concerns for the game. George Edmondson, Darrell Lenihan, and Descend Dieng will still be out for the game. Descend Dieng is coming back from a long-term injury, but Saltbrin has definitely been the much better keeper so far this season. Darrell Lenihan and George Edmondson have got 2 bad injuries, but they should miss this game, but hopefully back over the next few weeks. But there's also someone else returning, and that's Rob Edwards. Rob Edwards comes back to the Vic, and he's done very, very well as Borough boss so far. I know his time at the Vic was only really 10 games. He couldn't really get going. He did draw against Middlesbrough when he was the Watford boss. But I'm hoping he gets a good reception. You know, he hasn't done too much wrong at Watford, but albeit he was Luton boss. So, I mean, if you want to boo him, that's probably that you could probably boo him for that point. But for being a Borough boss, he's done fantastically well. He did do very well at Luton, so he does have a good pedigree and is a good coach as well. But I mean, I don't think he'd be very well received. I was probably say received at the Vic at the weekend. But looking ahead to that as well, now score prediction, I think Borough will set up in a back 3 and go back to the wing backs of Matt Targett and Callum Britton as our main fullbacks, and then also we'll see Luke Ayling come into that centre back role as well. And I think we will look a bit more balanced into that position. But in terms of score predictions, I'm going to go with, I think it'll be a 1-1 draw. I really do. I think it's going to be a really difficult game for us. Watford, I think, are pretty much underachieving, although we have had a manager change so far this season. I mean, what's really new there, to be honest? Let's be honest. Had to get the joke in. But I think, look, you guys create chances. Javi Gracia is a great coach. I think it's only a matter of time until things really kick into gear and you start moving up the table as quickly as you can. Guys, thank you very much for having me on, and I'll speak to you soon. All the best.
A big thank you to Johnny for his contribution to the video as usual. Of course, he seems quite happy and confident going into this one. I'm kind of on the fence. I'm not quite sure what we're going to see from this Watford side every time they step out onto that Vicarage Road pitch. As I've said before, I think a clean sheet to start with would be fantastic. We've not had one of those for over 200 days now, which is a crazy, unbelievable statistic for me to tell you today. And I think for me, we very quickly now need to see a settled starting 11. Certainly a settled defence for me is extremely important. I think it was Tom Bodell from the Watford Buzz podcast who posted yesterday that Watford so far this season have had 8 or 9 different centre-back combinations in our various matches we've played in so far, which of course is difficult for them players who are involved, because for 2 centre-backs in a back 4, for example, the relationship between them 2 players is so crucial. They both need to know what each other are going to do at certain times, who stays, who goes, etc., who is holding the line. So I think for me, a settled back line is really crucial. Hopefully we will start to see that develop in the coming days and weeks ahead. But I've got my phone in front of me here and I'm just looking at some of the players Borough have at their disposal. Dale Fry in that back line for me is fantastic. Whenever I play Football Manager, I always sign him to Watford, so certainly one to keep an eye on. Hackney, of course, you know what he can offer in that defensive midfield role. Morgan Whittaker was a big money signing from Plymouth Argyle last season. He had quite a slow start, but in the past few weeks he has been banging in the goals and looks in top form over on that right wing. So Morgan Whittaker certainly one to keep an eye on. Naipan in that 10 as well, of course, is a loanee this season, I believe. Certainly a very talented young prospect. Looking at their bench, they have Tommy Conway, Luke Kaelin. The list goes on. They have a fantastic squad, and for me, it's going to be very difficult again for Watford to get something out of this game. Now, of course, the home form plays a massive part. Vicarage Road has been pretty good for us, both under Tom Cleverley and actually so far under Paolo Pezzolano and Javi Gracia. And going back to Johnny's score prediction and what he thinks will happen in this game, I think a 1-1 draw is something most Watford fans would take. I think for me, as I said, I just want to see a solid foundation, something to build on, some good, exciting, attacking football, and a balanced team. And I did feel in the second half of that game against West Brom a couple of weeks ago, that is the most balanced we have seen Watford so far, both under Paolo and Javi Gracia. So looking forward to this one. And now it's time to come on to my predicted 11. Okay, predicted 11 time. And I think it's evident for us all to see that since Javi has come back to the club for his second spell, he has leaned on the more experienced players in the Watford squad. I'm speaking about the likes of Tom Ince, Musa Sissoko and Edu Kayembe. Now, of course, there is one player I can't select going into this game, and that is James Abankwa, who picked up that ridiculous red card away at Coventry. At the time, watching it live, I thought there was maybe a covering defender. He could have got him out of jail, maybe pick up a strong yellow, if you will. But no, watching it back on the replay 10, 15, 20 times, it is a clear absolute red card for me. He got nowhere near the ball. He fully took out his man. And James Abankwa now missing probably, well, until after the next international break it will be, which is a real miss, because I do feel defensively and offensively bringing out the ball from the back, he is a real asset to Watford. So a big shame to not have Abankwa available. Othman Mama comes back into the fold as well. Of course, he had a great time over in South America at the FIFA Under-20s World Cup. He picked up the Golden Ball Award, the MVP, the best player at the tournament. Previous winners of that include Sergio Aguero, Lionel Messi and Paul Pogba. So Othman Mama is certainly someone I would like to see, even for 5 minutes off the bench this weekend. I think that would be quite exciting for Watford fans at Vicarage Road. But starting from back to front, if I'm to stick with Javi and his general system, he does seem to play quite a rigid, 4-2-2-2, where the wide midfield players push slightly higher into almost number 10 positions at times. That's how I'm reading his tactics anyway. So if I'm to guess what he's going to do, I'll go Egil Selvik in goal, probably Ngakia at right back. I think he'll stick with Kevin Caben, even though he has made a few mistakes over the last couple of weeks. Formosa Mendy is someone I would like to see come into the fold. He's been branded as our big, shiny new centre-back signing, apparently our number one defensive target in the summer transfer window. So Kevin Caben and Formosa Mendy is what I would expect. Although Max Elaine, for me, seeing how well he performed under Paulo, I'd love to see maybe a Kevin Caben, Max Elaine partnership, or a Formosa Mendy and Max Elaine partnership. I think any of them combinations, and we settle on that, would be great to see this weekend. Left back, very easy for me. Caleb Wiley is fit as far as I'm aware, as is Mark Boller. But Boller, for me, has been one of the more underrated signings and acquisitions at Watford this summer. I feel he's been excellent. He hasn't really put a foot wrong. And offensively, he is really, really good as well. He impressed me against Coventry, and I feel he deserves a start against Borough this weekend. So, Mark Boller to come into the fold for me. And I think he's a former Borough player as well, actually. So it would be nice for him to play his former team. In midfield, starting very simply, it has to be our Moroccan maestro Imran Louza alongside Hector Cipriano. I think them two offer balance. They offer different attributes. Clearly, Hector is the player who can disrupt play and give it to the more flary attacking players. Louza can drop deep, but equally find himself in the opposition's box and contributing in terms of goals and assists as well, as we've seen so far this season. So Hector and Louza for me in the middle of the midfield is what I would go with. On the right, now this is difficult for me. If he's fit, I would love to see Kwadwo Bar. However, I do think Javi seems to really like and favour Tom Ince. And to be fair to Ince, against West Brom specifically, he put in an extremely professional and astute second half performance. So if Bar is fit and doesn't have a reoccurrence of this shoulder injury, I would start him over on the right-hand side. If he's not fit, I would maybe expect to, unfortunately, see one of Sissoko, Kayembe or Ince over on that right flank in that more advanced kind of right midfield role. So, Bar is my pick, but I do think Javi will go for someone else. On the left, again, this is a must start for me in Rocco Vata. Yes, he didn't have his best game in front of goal at the CBS Arena. Fluffed 2 or 3 really big chances to put Watford ahead, but he did really well in open play to create the penalty. He put the ball through to Vivaldo Semedo, who was fouled by Rushworth in goal. And Vata all round against Cobb, he had a really good game. It was just poor finishing ultimately on his part. So Vata on the left, Bar on the right is what I'd love to see. Attack them wide areas at Vicarage Road with Louza and Hector in midfield. As I said though, I do think Javi is a more conservative manager and will maybe play Papa Mendy over there, or as I said, Sissoko, Kayembe, or Ince over on that right hand side. But Vata on the left, Louza, Hector, Bar is what I would go with. And then up front for me, I would actually drop Nestri Irankunda to save him as a bench option if Watford need some attacking reinforcements. And I would start a front two of Luka Kiramgard and Mamadou Doumbia. Now, I appreciate Luka hasn't had the best time in recent matches. He needs to start scoring more goals and contributing to the team. However, Mamadou Doumbia is exceptional. His work rate, his pressing for me is outstanding, and arguably I would say is one of the hardest working players in this Watford side when he's fit, playing and available. So Mamadou Doumbia and Luka Kiramgard would be my front two. So let me know if you agree in the comment section down below. It's hard to guess what Javi will do, but that is my preferred team if I was in charge of the Golden Boys. Score prediction time. As I said earlier, I think Johnny has pretty much got this one spot on. I'm excited to see the reception and reaction Rob Edwards gets on his return to Vicarage Road. Of course, he did Watford a favour in relegating Luton Town last season, which we can be thankful for, but I imagine it won't be very nice for Rob Edwards. He didn't spend too much time in WD18. He departed very quickly after 9 or 10 games, I think it was, before Gino Pozzo dismissed him. So for him, there might be a personal vendetta against us to try and prove the Watford hierarchy wrong, but hopefully our happy Spaniard and Javi can get one over him. So I'm going to agree with Johnny and go with a 1-1 draw in this one. I'll go Vata to get some redemption and score a goal in front of the rookery end. So let me know your predicted 11s and score predictions in the comments down below. Once again, a massive thank you for helping the channel reach 2,000 subscribers. And the Watford Way isn't just on YouTube, we're across all social platforms as well. We're on Twitter, also known as X, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok as well. So go and give us a follow over there. The links to them are in the description beneath this video. And hopefully I'll see a few of you at Vicarage Road on Saturday. Looking forward to this one. Hopefully it's a good atmosphere. And yeah, hopefully Watford can come home with the 3 points. Bye-bye.